Good morning. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Jenny. Carrie Plaza Photography. Oh, I haven't seen you here before. Good morning. Kristen, Me Ice. Good morning, Shanice. Lise, Jenny. Hello, hello. Oh, well, sometimes you probably go by so fast, Carrie, that I don't see you come on, but thank you. I'm glad you're here today. I'm on a little late this morning because I threw one of my blankets in the wash and it was on that heavy spin cycle and it's really loud. And we already had the 911 calls go by this morning, so I was waiting for all that stuff to go by before I jumped on here this morning. And I thought you might appreciate an extra 5 minutes because of it's Saturday. I don't know. Thanks, beautiful. So do you. So my unexpected day. Remember, I woke up yesterday and everything was ass backwards and I was all thrown out of whack. Well, the whole day was like that, and I can't say I loved it. I kept holding on to, I had to take my juicer back and exchange it because it was brand new and there was a crack in the base. So I took it back, and then my appointments just weren't jiving and I was all over the place. And there was a mix-up with Scarlett and her boy, so she didn't make it out for girls' night last night, and it was just, everything was just backwards. And you know what? It's okay to admit that you don't have to love the unexpected all the time. Sometimes predictability's all right. Really all right. Love the Creator. Good morning, Diana. It's a coffee and Bailey's kind of morning because it's Saturday. It's my day off before I go to work tomorrow. And we've got a big birthday party for one of our staff members tonight. So I don't know, just, it's beautiful here. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to love it. What I've got to talk about today has nothing to do with the narc, because I like to get away from the narc once in a while. If you join us tomorrow on Sundays, it's our, hi Jackie, you have an awesome day too if you can't stick around. Tomorrow join us for our Soulful Jam session Sundays, where we talk absolutely nothing about the narc and we focus on us all together. Hi Kitty Malone. What I wanted to talk about today was I had no idea until just a few minutes ago, but Facebook memories. They're really something, huh? You know, sometimes I think, why Facebook? Why do you have to remember all this stuff? And it's usually stuff that, you know, I'm tagged in with the narc, or because I did the best I could to remove my photos of him from Facebook and anything that identified me to him or attached me to him. And Facebook memories, you know, so sometimes that stuff comes up, but I had a really awesome memory come up today, and it was from 9 years ago today in my previous life, before the narc even, where I was kind of thrown into a job. I was working at a casino, and I was there, I was in the sales and marketing department, and the sales and marketing department was responsible for putting on all of the shows at the casino. So we were the entertainment department also. And I would assist the marketing manager in putting on these shows, whatever he needed help with, you know, basically running, going and shopping and getting all the stuff for the artists. And then they fired him. And when they let him go, I was just the next, they didn't want to hire anyone else. I was just the next person to take care of everything because I'd already been doing it. And it was a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I just didn't know in what capacity. I just knew from 5 years old I was going to be doing that, whether I was going to have my own TV show or I was going to be a musician. And I was very musically inclined as a teenager. Received a couple of scholarships in music. Hi, Magda. And but then I ended up getting pregnant, so I didn't follow my music career. But here I am, and I'm thrown into the fire. And my very first show was very small. It was Sylvia Brown, the psychic. We had about 600, 700 people. And then from that, my first big show ever was Conan O'Brien. And he's even got Our Casino in his documentary from that time that he was there. And it was a massive show. He came with a massive crew. It was just insane, the work that I had to do to make this happen. And I remember driving to work that morning going, oh my God, I get to put on the Conan O'Brien show. I get to do Conan O'Brien. Holy freaking shit. And I just, in that moment that I'm driving to work and I'm realizing that my first big show is Conan O'Brien, it all sunk in that everything I had dreamed of, everything that I had been working toward was arriving in this moment. And it was nerve-wracking and exciting and all of these emotions that I had around what I was getting to do and the responsibility that came with that job. But the memory I had today come up on Facebook was my third show. And that third show was Mr. Warmth himself, Don Rickles. And he is a legend, a legendary comedian in the entertainment industry. And I remember sitting there listening to him tell me stories about old Las Vegas, the Rat Pack, and his manager, Tony Opedisano, was there, and he used to be Frank Sinatra's manager. And he kept telling me, he's like, you remind me of his daughter, Tina. She's got bigger balls than most men I know. And I'm telling you this story, it's leading up to something, so bear with me. It might be boring for some of you. But I just remember being so enamored with this job that I fell into. But I didn't fall into it. I created the space in my mind for it to happen. I created the space in my life for it to happen. I sucked that it happened at the expense of my friend losing his job, and I had to come in afterwards, and it created problems for us. For sure it did. But I still had a job to do. And I remember taking that job on and I was never a starstruck person, never, and I lived a very charmed life where I got to wine and dine all of these artists afterwards, right to the Duchess of York coming, Fergie coming to see us and Gene Simmons. And I just think of all these crazy shows that I put on and how blessed I was to have that opportunity to step into my power to do the work. Because it's not just glamorous. Show business is really far from glamorous. Let me tell you, because I also became a tour manager for a year, and all you see are hotels, airports, venues, and you're eating really shitty food late at night, and it's not the healthiest lifestyle, but I got to see so much of the United States that I never would have seen in my life, because it was my job. It was my job to book this tour and to find haunted places. I was the tour manager for Coffey from Paranormal State. It was just incredible, this life that I had. So this morning when this memory came up on Facebook, it really, because that was very early on in that career for me. And I started to reflect and remember who I was showing up for that level of what the universe required. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just did it fearlessly, shaking at the knees sometimes, but appearing to be fearless, I would step into that role and I just did it because that's what I do. I just do it. And I've always had that tenacity. I remember walking through crowds and people saying my name, and I had no idea who these people were because they saw me as the face of the venue. So after I did that particular role for three years, brought in some of the best acts in Western Canada, and then I lost my job. And I felt like I fell from grace. You know, it was this fall from grace, this because I was, our city here is small at 1 million people. And I was bringing in some of the best talent, the best acts, selling out concerts constantly. And all of a sudden, I'm depressed and living in my home, looking at the four walls thinking, what's just happened? You know, because the industry is small here, it's not like there were a lot of jobs to be had doing what I did. And it was challenging my perception of self. I had attached my identity to what I did for a living. And because I was no longer doing that, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was without that job. And this often happens. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Paula, Calla Lily, Teresa. I didn't know who I was without that work. Calla Lily's asking me, what am I engaged into now? I'm Trish. I'm a coach. I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. That's why you see me here. I go live every day to talk not just about narcissistic abuse or education, but about how we thrive afterwards and recognizing different patterns within ourselves. So I'm a coach. That's what I do. It's what I do. It's not who I am. Who I am is entirely different. And this is where, when we're with a narcissist, we lose our identity because they isolate us and they take away the things that matter because they're supposed to be more important than we are. Just like that job, I had attached my identity to that work, and then I had no idea who I was after. So I had to recreate myself. Luckily for me, I got a job offer as a tour manager for Chip Coffey, and we hit the road. And I had no time to think. It was like, hey, Trish, it was a Friday afternoon. Hey, Trish, what are you doing? Do you want to go on tour with Chip? Oh, hell yeah, I do. Okay, well, you leave next week. Oh, shit. And this is how the universe, when you're ready, the universe just goes, yeah, here it is. It's time. Go. Calla Lily says, I went through that in 2016 and slowly regaining consciousness. That's factual. I lost myself in the shuffle of that. They strip you of everything, just trying to love and give your best and emasculate you. I'm talking about this particular story today, about my career, and not focused on the narcissist, because this is how we identify how we show up, not just in our relationships, but in our life in general. You know, and if we can identify other aspects of how we show up in life, then we can identify how the narc manages to get control of who we are. And this is why I keep going back and forth between the job, what I'm talking about here, and the narcissist, because I'm hoping that you can see the connection. So, you know, I lost my identity. I'm offered this other job, and then the tour came to an end. And then what? Then I was unemployed again. You know, I'm one of those freelancing people that will take contracts, and I prefer to work alone and on my own and for myself. So here I am, my contract's at an end, and I was able to pick up some writing pieces here and there and some production work. But now what? I was at my lowest of the low. At that point, because I had no contract, I ended up filing for financial bankruptcy. I ended up moving in with a friend of mine. because he had just suffered from a congestive heart failure. So he was afraid to live alone. So I moved in with him, and he was an alcoholic. So, you know, I'm taking on all these other things just to get out of the hell that I was in financially. I was drowning. I had this albatross around my neck, and I just needed to change my life. So my friend offered me a place to stay while I went into bankruptcy and found another job. Well, lo and behold, I'm at the lowest point of my life, financially, spiritually, emotionally bankrupt. When I lost that job at the casino, I also ended a 4-year relationship with someone that I was truly in love with. But he wanted to have babies, and my baby was already an adult, and that wasn't an option for me. So here I am, heartbroken, still, and I say still because it had been a year. I was still heartbroken, I was financially bankrupt, and I'm at a concert one night, and this swaggering asshole starts walking toward me, and he looked like a really bad idea. And I was down for a bad idea. I needed some excitement in my life. And this is where the narc enters my story. Because I had attached my identity to what I did, I had no sense of self-worth, self-value, self-love. I didn't know who I was outside of a job because I kept so busy with my work that I didn't know who Trish was. I didn't know what I wanted in my life. So because I hadn't spent any time with myself getting to know myself, and I just stayed busy with the glamour and the grit of my job, when I was left in that space where I had nothing to do but think about who I was and not heal any of that, there was a door, not even a door. There was a great big wide open field for the narc to walk through. So I'm down on my luck. My energy's low. I'm feeling really shitty about myself, and the narcissist has the window to swoop in and make my life exciting. Well, this is where there's a crack in our foundation, and it goes way further back than the narcissist at this point. But I can identify the exact moment where that narcissist got in and how and why. I needed some excitement in my life, and he was exciting. He was exciting. He was a challenge because he had multiple women on the go, and I had no self-respect. And I just dove right in to a great big frickin' mess. But going into that relationship, and because I had no idea of who I was, I thought I did, I spent 6.5 years in and out of a relationship with a narcissist. My name is Narcs, like Zed, sleeping. And my name on here is narcolepsy because I literally went into a slumber to be in this relationship. I fell asleep to myself. I fell asleep to what I needed to understand and learn about who I am in this world. And what do I want? And what does that look like? And what are my boundaries? Oh, I didn't have any. Imagine. That 6.5 years with that narcissist was my awakening. I no longer could attach myself to an identity, to a job, because he made sure I didn't have one. He made sure that I was doing the lowest of the low, the lowest end jobs that I could find, so he could remain in control of me. I did make it back into the events industry for a little while. I was working for the orchestra here, the symphony orchestra, and I worked for one of our major convention centers for 3 years. So I have a 10-year history in that industry. But it just got to the point where he wore me down so that all I could do was become a shell of who I once was, or who I once thought I was. I became a shell of who I once thought I was, because I had attached my identity to my job, to people, to places, to things. I had no idea who I was. So what the narc gave me was a beautiful wake-up call. Because then I'm really stripped down to everything, to nothing. Bare bones, flesh exposed, torn apart. What do I have to do out of this? How do I rise from this? I didn't know who I was before. I have no fucking clue who I am now. Now I do. Now I do. Britt is correct. The narcissist awakens the deeper need of healing within you. And if you can ever arrive to that point, and this might piss you off for me to say right now and for you to hear, but if you ever arrive to that point where you can bless your experience with the narcissist because you have gone and done the deeper healing and you have awakened to who you are, it is the greatest gift of this life when you can see, and I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go and bless the narc. I'm saying bless the experience. Bless what this experience has given you to realize who you are now. Because without this soul rape by this person, this thing walking around out there, you couldn't know who you are. You'd just keep rising again and again, but at low levels where it's just like, oh yeah, I've gone through that experience, now I'm going to move on. No, you can't just move on from this. You have to dig deep and you have to stitch together every little part, every little fractured part within yourself. And you've got to put it back together again and heal it and love it every little time, with every little thing that you heal. You've got to love it. You've got to love it and you've got to bless it. Because you are not your circumstances. You are not your career. You are not what has happened to you. You are fierce, badass motherfucking warriors, and I know you are because you show up here every day. Every day you show up. Not just here. You show up in your lives. Doing things that take work when you're hurting inside and you feel like your guts have been ripped out. You're showing up. Don't tell me you're not fierce. Hell yeah, you are. You're as fierce as they come. And you're going to heal this and you're going to learn so much more about yourself. And you're going to learn that what you do isn't who you are. You're going to learn that where you live isn't who you are. That saying, no matter where you go, there you are, it takes on a whole new meaning for yourself when you actually know who you are. Because then no matter where you go, you can be happy and solid in knowing that you've got this, that you've done the inner work. And this is how a narcissist doesn't get in. Because when you actually have that level of love and respect for yourself, you know that your circumstances are not who you are. I'm grateful for Facebook memories today. I'm grateful for that charmed life that I lived in the entertainment industry. I met some really wonderful people and some that I'm still friends with today. We're all the same. And this is what I've learned. We're all the same. Celebrity or not, and believe me, there are celebrities who experience these relationships too. Just because they have access to a different life than you have, doesn't mean that they're not going through this kind of shit. Doesn't mean that they don't have soul work to do. Soul work. Not religious work. Soul, inner being stuff. And I know this because I was privileged to have those conversations. I remember sitting down with so many of them. One, the Princess of York, the Duchess of York. She went on Oprah right after and said that she talked about the event she did with us was the last one that she did, because she showed up and we were just a tent on an Indian reserve here, a big venue. And this is what I'm pointing this out. She discussed this on Oprah. She shows up in a limo to the hotel And there's a great big tent on an Indian reserve, and this is her life. And she wasn't insulting us. She wasn't insulting the reserve. She was bringing awareness to the fact how much her life had changed from being the Duchess of York, living in a castle in England, London, England, to doing speaking engagements in a tent on an Indian reserve at a casino. She had attached her identity to her royalty. She sat there and we had this conversation afterwards, after dinner, and she said, I just can't even believe where I am in my life. And she was talking about the struggles that she was having with the royal family and the struggles that she was having with this new man in her life who she really loved, but she didn't feel like she was healthy enough to be in that relationship. I don't care who you are. What that work gave me was the opportunity and the privilege to talk with these people and see that we're the same. We're the same. We bleed the same. Our hearts beat the same. Some are a little irregular, but we're all the same. We all feel, unless you're a narc. You don't feel if you're a narc. But as empaths, we do. We have feelings. We hurt. And we wonder how we're going to recover. Struggles are real, even for us men who have had a female narc. Thank you for saying that, because it's entirely true. This isn't this abuse isn't specific to gender, to status, to race, religion. It's not. It's everywhere. Everywhere. With Coffee and Bliss, welcome. Thank you for reminding me to take a sip of my coffee. So I started a few minutes late today, but we're getting close to the half hour. This is what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you benefit from my own insight about my life and my job and my career paths and identifying myself with what I did and not who I am, because I didn't know who I was. I bless this experience with the narc because now I know. I really, truly know who I am. And I love this person. I have a great sense of calm inside because I just know that I am that source of peace in my life. You are too. You're your own source of peace. I was the rocker chick. We were the rocker couple. That's how people knew us. Oh, it's that rock and roll couple. Oh, look at those two 80s, like I'm an 80s chick. I am a total 80s chick. And I attached myself to all of these labels. Don't do it anymore. You're so much better than that. You're so much more than that. You're not a label. You're not what you do. You're not a mom. Mothering is what you do. We say we're moms, but mothering is what you do. You're a friend. You're all of these things. You're a mother, a daughter, a sister, a brother. You're a brother or husband or, this isn't just for women here anymore. And I've had to let go of that too. There was a reason why I was very specific on working with only women. And it came out of a place of fear. Not just to empower women. I work with women outside of narcissistic abuse, and that's women's empowerment. But working only with women was out of a place of fear, because when I was doing my hypnotherapy 13 years ago, men would book sessions with me just so that they could ask me out on a date afterwards. They booked sessions, paid money to come and spend time with me and asked me out. And I stopped seeing men then because I didn't know how to manage that. Well, you know what? I just have to trust myself now, don't I? I have a better sense of who I am. I know how to say no. I have boundaries. I can help you if you are really wanting help. We can work together. Anyway, I'm starting to veer off on this conversation now. It's 9:34. This is the half hour because I came in late. Thank you all for showing up this Saturday morning. Remember, you're not what you do. Learn who you are. Bless the experience with the narcissist, not the narc. Bless the experience because it's revealing your true inner being. I'll see you tomorrow morning for our Sunday Soulful Jam. And keeping you all in my highest energy of love and healing, always. Stay badass. Go rock the day.